Hello and welcome to our new show on KelownaNow.com. We're broadcasting on YouTube and X, and we're going to actually have our own channel set up for this show and for this content, which we are calling Energize. And you might ask, why Energize? Simply put, it's all about the wave of the future, how everything is getting electrified, including our cars and our rooftops and everything else in between. So
yeah, I think we're going to talk about EVs, BEVs, ZEVs, and also like solar panels, energy, and AI. We're going to kind of put in there because a lot of the cars out there now are actually very smart too, like smart cars.
I think there's some wearables too that we might touch on from time to time. Yeah.
Yeah, there's lots of really cool things. We're going to start off really simple on this one. We're going to start kind of in the grassroots of it. And we're going to try and do this from kind of a Kelowna perspective, how it affects people in Kelowna and what you can get access to.
And secondarily, BC and Canada.
Yeah. The Okanagan and British Columbia for sure in Canada. So we start off with a graph. Marcy's going to put it up. And that's a graph of the world adoption of EVs. And you can see that China is actually leading the way in adoption. There's like 100 EV companies in China right now building EVs. 30% of the cars being sold in China right now are EVs, or even hybrids are counted in there. And Canada is even further behind. Canada is near the bottom of the list in adoption, but we did pass the 5% mark. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But as you can see that...
there's been a doubling really in just the last 2 years.
Yeah, so the next chart that we want to pull up there is like kind of like is the S-curve adoption. Marcy will show that one there. So you can see how a technology kind of gets adopted quite quick. British Columbia leads the way in provinces. We now had a 20% of all new registrations in Q2, up from 19.7 that are ZEVs. That includes hybrids and battery electric, BEV, battery electric vehicle, and ZEV is zero emissions vehicle, which includes hybrids and hydrogen type vehicles. Yeah, so Quebec though is catching up quick. Quebec is likely to surpass us in the next quarter. So Quebec is also adopting it. And you had made a good point there when you said that both British Columbia and Quebec have a lot of hydroelectric.
Yeah, so I guess I'm wondering if the base load that we have is sort of a part of driving our adoption, the success of our adoption.
I mean, I think in BC, I think a lot of people probably are more like keen on lifestyle and that kind of stuff too, and environment. So
plus there'd be some myths around, well, maybe they're not myths, we can get more into it, but just around the stability of battery technology and the colder temperatures. BC obviously has a little bit more of a hospitable climate. Than the prairies.
We're talking about Kelowna. We're talking about Kelowna and the Lower Mainland, yes, but not for the northern part, Prince George and all that kind of stuff. So, but if you pull up that S-curve again, adoption rate, you can see that like a lot of things just take off, like iPhones and stuff like that. As soon as people start to say, yeah, those are better, one of the things that has to happen is that the new technology has to be way better, and it has to be cheaper. And that's what we're seeing with EVs right now, because if we look at Tesla, for example, the Tesla Model Y and Model 3 are now cheaper than the average cost of a car in the United States. I mean, it's just easier to get stats down there. So now they're becoming cheaper and cheaper, and they're very economical to run. Like there's no oil changes, there's no... Well, you got one too. I have an EV and Jason has an EV. I drive a Tesla, Jason drives a Hyundai.
Hyundai Kona.
Hyundai Kona. But you can see on that chart how things have adopted quite quickly, right? So like the internet shows up, the adoption rate is very quick. It's kind of like scary how fast the adoption is. Canada finally joins the rest of the world, and now with over a 5% adoption rate Canada-wide. Like we join countries like Hungary and Thailand.
And Botswana.
Near the bottom of the curve. Why 5% is so important, though? That's the big thing. Why is 5% so important? Because that's like most new technologies, televisions, mobile phones, light bulbs, and all follow an S adoption curve. We pull up that S curve again. Sales move kind of at a crawl as their first as they first roll out. People, there's the early adopters and stuff like that. In the case of fully electric vehicles, 5% seems like the inflection point. There's that last chart to pull up there. And this is the one that where I really illustrates the point, because this is where a lot of my friends actually too, there's people pushing on that curve and people pulling on that curve. So if you see the guy on the top there, FUD and misconceptions, the people that will tell, the things that it's not going to work and that it's, they don't go very far, you can't charge them, the batteries explode, all those kind of things. That's all that misconceptions. Yeah. And then there's the guy in the red there in the corner, he just doesn't like change, so he's pulling down on it.
Yeah.
And then there's the guys that, like the people developing technology, decreasing battery price, pushing down on the curve. So all these people are trying to like kind of move this along. But what we do see for sure is the governments around the world are really pushing for like 2030 and 2035 adoption rates, like where they want all new vehicles to be built ZEV, whether that's hydrogen or electric.
Where are you in this? Are you?
Where am I? I think a lot of people would probably be the purple guy. I have quite a few friends that are in the green.
Yes.
And the green suit there. Where would you be?
Yeah, I'm probably in the green. I mean, somewhere in the purple and the green. I wanted an electric car.
I'm not talking about the light green there. I'm talking about the teal, I guess.
Oh, no. No. I'm early on, somewhere early on for sure.
So one of the things we want to talk about today for sure is in Canada there is a $5,000 federal credit for ZEVs. So there's about 45 2023 models that qualify for the ZEV credit. And if you can just run that video as we're talking about some of these models here, like we're just going to show you some of them. So of course the Teslas qualify, but Audi has the Quattro. I'm just going to go through some of the vehicles on this list. BMW has a few vehicles now. They have the i4, the Chevy Blazer,
and Bolt,
and the Volt. And then
the F-150 Lightning.
F-150 Lightning. There's quite a few of those running around. I've seen quite a few of them. Mm-hmm. And the Mach-E seems to have a lot of really good success. I see quite a few. I know somebody that actually owns one and is quite happy with the vehicle. So
it looks nice.
Yeah, there it is right there on the screen there, the Mach-E.
There it is.
I mean, it kind of like, one of the things that the legacy automakers have is they have that brand. And then the Toyota BZ4X. Another one, and then of course the Rivian, which is the pickup. There's quite a few Rivians running around town here too, right?
I like that Rivian, the look of it. Yeah,
looks pretty cool. Cybertruck's supposed to launch this month, so that'll be the F-150 Lightning, the Cybertruck, and the Rivian that are in the pickup models, right? The Ioniq, the Hyundais. You have a Hyundai. You have the Hyundai Kona. They also have the Ioniq 5 and the Ioniq 6 that qualify for the credits. Kia has the EV6, the Niro EV.
Even Mercedes in the game here.
Mercedes had, yeah, because the higher end stuff doesn't qualify, but this must be one of their lower end models. The Nissan Leaf, the Nissan Ariya. You can go on the website and you can get the full list all the time to see if you qualify for that $5,000 credit. It comes off right at the dealership, right? So that gets taken off right at the top there. Polestar has quite a few. Subaru has a bunch. And Tesla's Model 3 long range and the Model 3 rear wheel drive car qualify. And then the Model Y rear-wheel drive car and the Model Y long-range car both qualify. Their performance models do not qualify for the $5,000 credit. Toyota's BZ4, like we talked about. VinFast has one. Volkswagen has a few. Volvo has a few as well. They have the C40, the XC40. So that there's quite a few. I think there's 45 or something cars. And Dodge is coming out with a bunch in the next couple of years.
With that much choice and that many makers putting energy into this, clearly we're going to be in liftoff here right away in terms of numbers of vehicles that are EV on the streets and the infrastructure that's going to be needed to support them, right?
Yeah, so in addition to the $5,000 from the feds, in British Columbia, there's an additional $4,000 that you can get off if you qualify, and it's based on your income. And it steps down. I think at $80,000 or less, you get the full $4,000. And then I think it's like $100,000, you get half of it, and then it just steps down from there. Also in British Columbia, there's no PST on used EVs.
Yeah, and that could be fairly significant as people are upgrading.
On battery electric vehicles, there's no PST on. Like if you're looking to buy a used Mach-E or Tesla or whatever it is, you don't have to pay the tax on that, right?
And they seem to retain their value quite a bit, like the Teslas particularly.
Well, I mean, there's an argument that with what Elon Musk has done lately, where he's dropped the prices, I think just recently, the Model S, he dropped that price from 121,000 down to 99. So if you had a
the day before,
I think you would have lost $20,000. Right? So the dealerships, I think some of them have a tough time holding on to Teslas because they change so fast. Like he's dropped the prices almost 30%. I think it's 27% over the past year on all the models. So
that's something that's kind of predictable though in that S curve, right? Like the
for
pricing.
Sure. As battery prices come down, he always said he was going to drop the prices on the vehicles. He's, according to Elon, it's not that people don't want to drive an EV, that they're too expensive. Mm-hmm. So he's going to bring the prices down to meet the people. Mm-hmm. So I think that makes sense. You don't see that a lot from legacy automakers where they're actually bringing down the prices. So I think EVs across F-150 Lightning dropped their prices, Ford Mach-E dropped their prices. I know they're losing money right now making them, but I think they just need to get to volume, right?
Well, that no longer having to pay PST on used, that's quite a savings for people, so that'll make it quite a bit more affordable, for sure.
And the thing, like I'm going to use Tesla's example because that's what I'm most familiar with. You go to the website to buy one. It's a different kind of model than buying two. You go to the website, you pick your model. If you want the credits, you're going to have to pick a Model 3 or Y. You pick a couple colors, and you pay extra for colors. And then you pick the color of the interior. And then it'll tell you how long before you get your car. I did it this morning just to make sure they had inventory. It looks like they have November, December deliveries. Mm-hmm. And there you go. And you go down to Surrey right now to pick it up. There is a dealership opening up in Kelowna. They are building a dealership here in Kelowna so that you can pick up your vehicle here.
I wonder what kind of barrier that has been for Kelowna consumers to buying a Tesla, like not having a dealer here, not being worried about service, even though there's very low.
That's a big concern for lots of people, right? Because they're unsure. I mean, I've been to a few, I'm sitting around a table, especially it seems like a lot of, older, more educated people seem to have misconceptions on EVs in general. One, that you can only use them around town, and that was kind of true of the first early ones, right? Because we had the Ford Escape, I think one of the first ones, and it had a 68 kilometer range.
Even the Leaf is pretty low, like the early Leafs, right?
I mean, there's some cars that are designed to be commuters, so just make sure you're getting some of the decent range. But I take the Model 3 to Calgary and Vancouver on a regular basis, and it's fine.
And you charge partway through the journey?
I do. The Model 3 has a range of 438. So obviously I can't make it to Calgary because it's 600 kilometers. Mm-hmm. So there's charging all the way along. The supercharger network is one of the best networks. It's one of the biggest filling stations in the world now. So that's something that I think Ford, GM, and a bunch of other, did Hyundai adopt as well now? The North
You can get an attachment, yeah.
Standard.
I was sort of prior to that, but you can get an attachment to make it work, yeah.
Yeah, so it's really easy to charge. You don't have to pull out a credit card or anything. You pull up to the charging station, like in Golden, where at Tim Hortons there, you pull in there. All you do is plug the car in. You don't have to do anything else. It automatically just comes off your Tesla app, like you're not doing your credit card or fighting with stuff. I think when you do yours, you're fighting with a credit card.
Well, it depends. So the one I stopped at just this side of Aldergrove, there's a rest stop.
I haven't heard that name in a while. I used to live there.
and you can, if you have a Tesla, you can plug into that one, or you can plug into the other one that's for others. And if you plug into the other one that's others, like me, you're going to sit there for about a day to charge.
Oh,
so
wow.
yeah, it's sort of
the Tesla chargers are 15, 20 minutes, right? So the Model S is really fast to charge. The Model S has a range of 620 or something, 628. Mm-hmm. So it's fine to go to Vancouver, but you can charge. I mean, lots of time people stop to stretch their legs and have a coffee or whatever that is too, and it just takes a few minutes.
It's just a change of habit, really.
They charge really fast. So the Tesla has that huge advantage in their charging network. Nobody else has that. But again, they have licensed that technology out to Ford, GM. I can't remember all the list. There's 20, I think, right now. Mercedes, I think, joined the list.
It would make sense for them to standardize, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Hopefully it doesn't become like computer chargers and connections.
Well, that's the government had their own standard, right? They were doing the CCS. That's what they tried to do, but most of those chargers didn't work half the time and stuff like that. Imagine that.
Go figure.
Imagine that. The government's doing it, and half of them don't work. I'm just stating the obvious fact. I'm not making it up.
Yeah.
And half of them don't work. Anyway, the big news out of Tesla on Friday, BP, one of the largest fossil fuel conglomerates, will be the first to acquire chargers directly from Tesla for a third-party network that they're going to create. So that means they're going to put those chargers in their own stations like Amoco, AMPM, and other BP-owned gas stations. So they're already like moving towards a future where they're going to start doing having gas stations that are also have superchargers.
Have you seen the Petro-Canada up at McCurdy?
I haven't.
They have them.
They put them in there now?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I have not seen. That's recent? Or?
Yeah, I just noticed it yesterday.
Yeah, and I know in downtown Calgary just got a bunch too, because prior to just recently, you'd had to drive out to Cross Iron or drive out to Canmore to hit the supercharger, right? But now there's some downtown. So, like, you're seeing that infrastructure being built out, and I think that is kind of scared a lot of people in the beginning. Like, they don't see, like, charging options. Like, some people, like, I charge at home 90% of the time. But if you live in an apartment or something like that where you can't put a charger in, then I think some of those people might be more scared to put one in. You have not put one in your home. Why is that?
A charger?
Yeah.
Well, we use just the regular household electricity with the
Just a 110.
the 110.
And say 6 weeks later, you have a full car.
It's only like 4 or 5 days, all right?
So you plan your
Easy,
trips, right?
easy.
You're just like, hey,
it's a commuter. It's a second vehicle, right?
On Tuesday, we're going uptown.
Yeah, yeah. We don't have that. I don't put that many kilometers on generally with it, so we really don't need it or haven't needed it. That said, rapid charging is absolutely essential if we're taking it on the road. So getting the adapter for the Tesla chargers is probably my next step.
I think, and then anybody that is looking around to put a charger in at home to shop around, because I got some prices that were kind of like ludicrous.
$2,500, no? Isn't it roughly?
I got a $5,500 estimate.
Is that before or after a tax credit that was available back then?
I know the charger itself from Tesla, because you can buy the Tesla charger from Tesla direct, and it was $750 for the charger. And the guy, when he put my solar system in, just put the charger in for free. Well, I had to pay for the permit.
That sounds
I think
better.
The permit was like $225 or $250 for the permit. So we'll talk about other stuff in the other shows. We'll talk about solar systems. We'll talk about other cars. We do want to find out more about the other cars. We're going to see how much inventory is out there right now. How many Mach-E's are available in town? How many F-150 Lightnings are available? How many Hyundais?
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know. Hyundai.
And how many BZ4Xs? How many Toyotas are out there?
It's like Sunday.
Sunday?
Hyundai.
Oh, with Hyundai. Oh,
Right.
there you go.
Yeah.
See? I had a Hyundai once, a 3-door thing.
Oh, yeah.
One door on one side,
yeah.
2 doors on the other side.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool. My wife did not like that. She's like, the car doesn't know what it is.
Was it an early Genesis? Is that what it was?
No, it was a Hyundai. I'm tapping.
I know which one you're talking about. Anyway.
Yeah,
it's
I thought it was cool. She not so much. Yeah, we want to find out about some of these other ones. I think Kent keeps talking about this Ioniq 6. He thinks that's going to be the best car ever. I do have a video that maybe we'll talk about in the next one too, and it says, this one guy makes a claim there's only 2 automakers left in 10 years, and that'll be the Toyota and Tesla. Toyota had a record quarter. Over 5 million vehicles or something like that. I think record year.
I didn't see Toyota on this list, though. Did we see?
Yeah, no, they got the BZ4.
Right.
BZ4X, I think. It's somewhere on here as we go through this list. We'd love to hear your questions. If you want to drive a Tesla or a Hyundai, more than welcome to help anybody out who wants to know more. If you have questions, for sure, more than willing to answer. BZ4X, the Toyota.
There we are, yeah.
I think they also had the hydrogen vehicle in town. There's a couple hydrogen filling stations in town too.
That seems like a scarier proposition. I feel like there's a lot of momentum around electrical.
Well, I mean, I think with EVs, there's so fewer parts involved. Do you know what I mean? Like hydrogen, some of them actually have an engine still. Do you know what I mean? Like, so, or they have an electric motor. So the hydrogen is either powering a regular motor, or the hydrogen is powering an electric motor. So it seems like you have an addition. Do you know what I mean? Like why the addition? It doesn't make sense.
It's like just extra steps, it's not elegant. The electrical car is elegant.
And I have a couple of friends that are really deep in this battle, and I see where you relate on this battle, that are just like, they look at electric cars as this fight against people screaming about climate change. And they just like want to push back, because the more they feel like they get pushed on climate change, the more they want to push back, and they don't want anything to do with electric cars, because they believe that it's the poster boy for climate change or something like that. And then the other side of it is, people that are screaming about that don't even drive an EV either, though. I don't think it has anything to do with, like, EVs are just better technology, right? Like, they're better technology.
They're certainly
cheaper to operate.
Yeah, but up until very recently, they were a little more expensive than you'd pay, right? Like, and still are. Like, when you look at the EV price and the ICE vehicle, you're paying quite a bit more. But if you take a look at the calculation of what you're going to save in terms of fuel, you may find that you're paying less.
I agree with you to a point. We had a person I did a podcast or a video podcast in the other day. He said he drove Genesis. It was $20,000 premium over the regular Genesis. But Tesla kind of throws that out the window. Like, Tesla's Model 3 is and Marcy was in it today. That thing is like full load, and it's like she could buy that car for $45,000.
Yeah, well, and that's relatively new, though, no? Like Tesla.
Yeah, they dropped prices. I think they were in the 60 just recently, like about a year ago.
Like when I was looking at the Kona, it was more than the Kona.
It was
significantly.
Yeah. What would you pay for that Kona?
It was like 50.
Yeah. So the Tesla's now cheap.
Yeah. And I'd be curious to know what the Kona goes for nowadays, actually.
Well,
I think it's like
we'll
51.
We'll try and find out what that is. Like I said, we're going to try and do a lot more on this and really break it down and simplify all those myths and misconceptions out there. I mean, we're going to try to do this for informational purposes. Not to say, I still drive a Toyota pickup.
And I have a Toyota van, so...
Yeah, so I mean... So it's not to say that ICE vehicles are dead or anything. We're just saying, like, if you have a choice right now, the EV may be more economical. Like, I haven't been to a gas station really since, other than for the Toyota, since January. And
I sure like not having to go to a gas station.
My pickup truck was doing about, $600 or $700 a month. Like, a trip to Calgary is $600 for my truck.
Yeah, it's pricey.
With the supercharger, when I drive to Calgary now, $22.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? $22. That's quite a difference, right?
Yeah. I was paying probably somewhere around $400 a month in gas prior to the electric, and now it's like $40 in fuel.
Oh, because you guys use the EV as much as you can?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about my vehicle usage, not the van.
Oh, so okay, yeah.
Jen drives the van, 3 kids, they're all over the place, ski hills, things like that.
Yeah. Would you buy another EV?
I think so. Here's what I would say. Like, it has been somewhat strategic to not rush into having just 2 like you have, or 3, or exclusively electric. In as much that I am still kind of worried about not having a real plan to get us to some of these goals, and what kind of pressure it might put on the grid and the cost of electricity. And so it's a bit of a hedge on that.
Well, I mean, again, I don't put any pressure on the grid, because I get most of my energy from the sun.
From the sun, yeah.
So, I mean, you can put solar in at your home too, right?
Yeah.
So, I think those are, again, some more misconceptions from people, right? Thinking, oh, if everybody had electric, we wouldn't have an electricity. Well, you could put solar on your roof.
Well, when you hear things about rolling blackouts in California and stuff like that, and you hear about the energy grid, the electrical grid in
you hear
Alberta,
a lot of things, though, right?
Close to collapsing. I mean,
yeah, you hear a lot of things.
They're all talking about it, Jim.
You hear a lot of things. I have, like, in this over 6 months, now it's close to 9 months.
Yeah.
of driving an EV. Best decision I ever made.
Well, so coming back to the climate and environment and everything, the one thing that you've said in the last couple of weeks about driving an EV that's really sort of stuck to my ribs, like a good steak dinner, or spaghetti or whatever.
Hearty.
Hearty is is and how long would you last in a garage with the door closed with your ICE vehicle on, and how long would you last
20 minutes.
And how long would you last with your EV on?
Forever.
Right? And so that's a small microcosm of the world in that little garage. And the parts per million expand exponentially.
I mean, that's the common sense way to look at it for some people. Because, like for some people, climate change is a real hot button, right? And it's either, it's like, and again, it's when the government beats you over the head with a stick. It's hard, right, with carbon tax pricing and that. So it's the natural tendency is to push back, right? But
like my 6-year-old when I'm trying to get her to eat vegetables.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like you just they're not listening. But if you just use the common sense approach and say, hey, if you were in your garage for 20 minutes with the door closed, you'd probably last 20 minutes, right? And you'd be dead from the carcinogens. And like you said, the world is basically a larger garage. And so how many vehicles are out there pushing out carcinogens? So, I mean, obviously that's harmful at some degree to you and to the people around you.
And whether it's causing
climate change or not,
I figure it's still going to be better.
But I mean, just park that argument.
And it's cheaper.
Park that argument.
Yeah.
And just say, hey, these are cheaper.
To run.
Better. Faster. And I'm going to just do these quick things. Fastest car in the world, production car.
Tesla
Model S Plaid. Safest car in the world according to NHTSA, the crash test ratings. The Tesla Model 3. Highest quality satisfactions.
Somebody would point to the story recently, though, of the Tesla that drove into the building the other day.
They did? I didn't hear the story, but there was the one in California where the guy drove over the cliff and said it was autopilot with his wife and 2 kids, and then it was like 200 feet down, and then the fireman went down there expecting no one to be alive, and turns out everybody was alive, and turns out it wasn't autopilot. He was trying to kill his family.
Oh, geez.
So the cool thing about the Teslas, they have a little black box in them that tells you everything that went on. Right.
Yeah.
So.
The other thing about Tesla, which I'm quite envious about, not that we'll hopefully ever need it, is the air conditioning, like the
the HEPA filters.
Yes.
We're probably getting off topic. The Cybertruck is going to debut this November, next couple days. Well, it's going to debut in November, not next couple days. They ran a Tommy gun down the side of it or whatever, and it's full of bullet dents, but not holes. Elon's definitely got a weird sense of humor.
Anybody that shoots a Tesla into space, I mean.
It's all marketing for him, right? And people are screaming at him to advertise.
Yeah.
And he gets a ton of free advertising. Some people accuse me of being on payroll, but I don't get nothing.
That's when your brand is baked right into your product so well that.
I mean, it's like the iPhone, right? If after you use an iPhone, I use an iPhone, Marcy has an iPhone. I tried once. I went to Samsung once, and it lasted 3 months.
Yeah.
Right. I was just like, what is this? I mean, it's just. And if we look back, Nokia flip phones. You remember Nokia flip phones? You're old enough to remember. They had like $1 billion market cap, man. Like they were selling phones like crazy. This guy showed up. This guy right here shows up.
Boom.
And those people are Walking Dead the next day, right? Do you know what I mean? Like I still remember that event when Steve Jobs did the iPhone. And I had the first iPhone, and I went up to the mine site where I was working at the time. And I had a BlackBerry as well. And everybody had BlackBerries, right? It was just everybody had a BlackBerry, including the President of the United States. Everybody had a BlackBerry. It didn't take long, and they were gone. They were gone. This thing just did everything better.
Yep.
Faster, better.
Video, apps.
And BlackBerry used to be one of the #1 stocks in Canada. Remember? They used like $150 a share.
And I loved my BlackBerry. Like I was a devoted BlackBerry user.
But then I would be at the mine site and I'd surf the web. And they'd say, well, BlackBerry can't do it. It was like that big, right? It was like so bad. And then they brought out the torch in answer to, we're digressing, but
I'm just going to say I still miss the keyboard, though. I don't know about you. It's just...
I got a BlackBerry, I can tell you.
I still have about 5 in the box.
Well, you can fire them up.
Yeah, I don't know if any of the networks still work or not, but it would be fun to try.
The stock still trades around $2. Anyway.
Yeah.
A lot more to come. Definitely going to delve into what's available in Kelowna. Try to do some test drives, too. Try not to make this a Tesla show. Tesla is the leader. It's obvious. They've been doing it for 10 plus years. So it's obvious that they have a lead, right? And they have a lead the autonomy as well.
What I'm interested in seeing is what do each of the other makers bring to the table that's maybe different or unique from Tesla? What is their unique strength?
I think some of the things for sure is going to be brand for some people, right? Like if I've been driving a Ford all my life, I'm going to drive a Ford till I die. And then the Ford Mach-E fits that bill, right? Because if you're, like, I mean, the classic cars, I mean, I grew up with the classic cars, you know, the Chevy. I've been a bow tie guy forever, right? Like I've driven so many Chevy pickups and Camaros and Corvettes. I've owned them all too, right? So, you know.
I'm interested also in taking yours for a ride here one day soon, so we can share and relate our experience between the two different ones.
Yeah, Marcy, thumbs up or thumbs down?
How many horsepower is the one that you drive?
How many horsepower?
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that. I think it's on the website though. If you go on there. I know the Mach-E has one on the horse on the front, right? And there's one horse on the back.
Yeah. Okay.
Picture of a horse.
Yeah.
I had a Corvette. People would ask me, "What's in there for a motorist?" And I don't know. Like, have a look.
Race you for pinks.
Race you for pinks.
There you go.
You want to? We can do that. That much I'm confident in.
Oh, it'd be fun for a minute anyway.
Alrighty, I think we're going to wrap this up.
Okay, so lots more to come up. If you have any ideas or topics or questions about EVs that you'd like us to look into, investigate, share our knowledge, what the topics are, just drop them into the comments. We definitely want to build the show around your needs.
I think what we're going to try to do for sure is dispel the myths and the misconceptions. That's what we're going to try and do, and to help people make better informed choices.
I think it would be neat exercise to kind of go through the economics as well, like how much money you're actually going to save on fuel and all those.
And also, like, before you buy an EV or make that decision, because like buying a house is the biggest decision you typically make, but buying a car is like the second biggest decision people make. So you don't have to feel rushed in if you go into a dealership or whatever. Don't get pressured into buying something, and don't listen to the internet is so full of information, right? And definitely drive a couple. Do you know what I mean? Drive a couple and get an idea. The great thing about the Tesla dealers I've went to, they're just like, sure, take it home, you know, like, and try it out. Like, they're pretty confident in their vehicles. Well, they can turn them off anyway, right? You don't bring it back. Just probably use full self-drive to bring it back. And I have driven the full self-drive too. I don't have it in mind, but I have driven the full self-drive in Calgary. Pretty incredible.
It's like magic, right? I mean, really, at the end of the day.
You put the address in and then you just basically just sit back.
Yeah, it's
eat potato chips.
It's fun to watch. All right, well, that's our first episode of Energize, and we'll look forward to coming back and having more conversations.
Thing that you were kind of showing us?
Probably not on this one. Just in time for Halloween, we'll get dressed up as the Energizer Bunny, and we'll do the show tomorrow maybe that way. Okay.
All right.
Until then, have a great day.
Bye.